Hey everybody, welcome to the In the Woods podcast. My name's Pete, lead pastor here at Woodland Church, and I am here with I want to say special guest, but not really special moving forward because you're now on staff.
Right,
Mr. Eli Dillenbeck, our new youth pastor here. Welcome, Eli. It's great to have you, man.
Thank you. It's been a blast.
Yeah, so today we are two things. Number one, we just finished, we haven't finished, we're almost finished with the whole Stay on Target series. So there's a little bit of that we could dive into, but more than anything, just want to take a few minutes to get to know you and let our church kind of hear who you are and all of the wonderful things that are Eli Dillenbeck. And I want to say right from the get-go, we were in our first staff meeting last week, and I randomly accidentally called you Levi.
Yes.
And two things have happened. One, my brain wants to keep doing it. And number two, I want to keep doing it because now it's funny, but it's not funny to you, so I'm not going to keep doing it.
No, I thought it was hilarious.
I sent you an email and I said, thanks, Levi. And then you replied back and said, it's Eli. I didn't know if you were kidding or you thought I was kidding.
I was just trying to run with the joke.
Okay,
That's why I started calling you Paul and crossing in the hallways and stuff.
I like Paul, though.
It's like, what's up, Paul? See, but like I like going by Eli, but honestly, Elijah, I'd rather be with the story of Elijah over the story of Eli.
So you are an Elijah.
I am an Elijah.
Okay.
So love that story. It's actually one of my favorite to teach is the story of Elijah, especially on Mount Carmel. But yeah, I mean, for me, the best thing about me, I think, is my family. Talking about my family. My dad's side is humongous. My great-grandmother, she had 19 children, and each one of them had 5 to 19 children. It's kind of insane, family reunions.
Catholic or?
Yeah, actually.
Okay,
really
sense.
Catholic. Until
Either Catholic or farmers or both.
Actually, no, I don't think we have any farmers. We kind of have a little bit of everything, though, which is pretty cool. But my grandparents actually pulled away from the Catholic Church, went to Protestant, and then really just poured into their grandkids. So pouring into us, and I used to have a ton of conversations with them. I still do. And just about my faith and just what does it look like for us to live as Christ followers here and now. I'm things I like to do. Honestly, I love disc golf. It's one of my favorite things to do. I went, I think 4 times last week, just checking out some of the courses, and there's a community disc golf group here. So I met them Saturday morning and just had a blast, honestly, just getting out and just being a part of the community.
Throwing Frisbees, but not doing drugs with the rest of the hippies.
No, I don't know what it is. Christians and just weed smokers just go hand in hand with disc golf. It's just a love
it's
for
one
it.
or the other, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, your dad is one of 19 or your mom is?
So my dad's mother is part of 19.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And then each one of them had 5 to 19.
So where were you raised? Where's home?
So originally in Niles, Michigan, and so lived there until I was in 8th grade, and then my dad got a new job opportunity.
Just last year?
No, a little bit.
You look young, but you're not. You got a beard. So
I know. I actually trimmed
helps.
a ton of it. Actually, I took off like 3 inches of it, so now it's nice and short.
So Niles, Michigan, you moved to Indiana?
Elkhart, Indiana. Was there for a while, all the way through high school and college, and then I did college at Bethel University over in Indiana, or Mishawaka, Indiana. Yeah,
where my wife went.
Yeah, which is awesome. She actually
knows
fellow alums, and then she also knows one of my mentors from Port Huron, Michigan, Dan Hamrick, which is really cool. He's actually back in Mishawaka now, which is pretty sweet.
All the names around here are like these former like Native American names that are really hard to say.
No, I don't get it.
Milwaukee.
Mishawaka.
Battle Creek.
Warsaw.
Wait, no, that's not one of them. So how many siblings do you have?
So I have 2 younger siblings. So it's me, Deacon, and Cooper. Unfortunately, we lost Deacon about a year and a half ago now, just to a freak work accident. But he was doing what he loved, and that's all I could really ask for, as an older brother. So very proud of him. And of my youngest brother, he's about to graduate this year as a senior. Super proud of him. Just finished his football season, so that was pretty emotional. But we made fat heads and just trying to really just make him feel special and have his moment as a senior.
Yeah. So as a family, were your parents followers of Jesus like your whole life? Did that come later in their lives? Like how much of your childhood was connected to church?
Yeah, I'm really all of it. So my dad was a youth pastor when I was born, actually. Yeah, so he was a youth pastor, and around, when you could do fun stuff with youth ministry, they did a Fear Factor thing where he had all his students swallow goldfish. like live goldfish. It's quite wild.
I had to do that in my fraternity for different reasons. Can't talk about that though. Moving on.
No, yeah, let's keep going. And then moved into a different position and went to become more of a volunteer. So him and my mom really volunteered strongly. So I was kind of always in student ministry, even from a young age. And then jumped into that same church, Granger Community Church, Granger. And so I loved that, went to youth camp there, and ended up giving my life to Jesus on that camp. It was awesome as a middle schooler.
So you're in high school, you're a follower of Jesus, you decide to go to basically a private Christian school. Were you thinking when you went to that school, like, I want to do ministry, or was it more just like, I want to go to college and figure things out? Yeah,
it was, I knew from the get-go I was going into ministry. So had a lot of wrestling with the Lord, because I originally wanted to be an engineer going in, and I really had settled on
two very similar things,
right?
Ministry and engineering.
Building things and building up the kingdom. And when I was looking into it, really, I had a moment where the Lord said, no, I want you for ministry. And I was like, well, Lord, I want to, build something that lasts. And he was like, well, why don't you work on something that's everlasting? And I was like, that's a pretty cool opportunity.
That is a total youth pastor line too. That's great.
I'm full of them, man. That's all I have. That's all I do. That's all I think about.
Do you ever just take like a movie quote and figure out how you can make it a sermon or something?
Oh, all the time. When it comes to movies, especially if it's about Spider-Man, I dream about being Spider-Man. I wish I could have been Spider-Man, but
Spider-Man can climb up walls. Jesus can walk on water.
Who's the real hero here?
Anyway, moving on. So you're in college. You're studying youth ministry, or just ministry in general? Like, what was your degree?
Yeah, so my degree is in pastoral ministry, and the reason for that is because I was neck deep in a internship with a church called Crossroads Community Church over in Goshen, Indiana, and so
the most popular name of a church in America, by the way.
See, they're all over the place. This is a Nazarene church. So it's not the non-dom that's across America, so I was neck deep in internship there, and I felt that I was getting enough experience there to where I could more focus on theology and biblical studies courses that I really wanted to dive into, because I'm also a bit of a nerd. So I loved the deep study, the deep dives, and I took 2 years of Hebrew, which is a blast. Just easier than Greek, I've heard. I haven't touched Greek, and I don't want to touch Greek yet. At some point, maybe, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm glad, it's probably helpful for those watching our video right now for you to clarify that you're a bit of a nerd. Because you are wearing a pink lemon shirt. They're probably like, oh, okay. It's all coming
this
together
makes sense. Yeah, this makes sense. Disc golf, bright Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, this guy.
Talks about Spider-Man.
So you finished college, and then what did you do after college?
Yeah, so it's kind of a weird transition. So I did 3 years of coursework, and then I did a year internship in Port Huron, Michigan. So it started as a summer internship and then turned into a transitional to ministry internship kind of deal. So for the summer, I was there with several interns, which was a blast. And then got to learn under Dan Hamrick, your wife knows, Todd Perkins, and Katie Johnson.
Used to work here.
Yeah, Todd Perkins used to work here, which is so crazy. And he's been telling me all about, some of his past stories, and even connecting with some people here at Woodland, just talking and hearing some stories of the past youth group, and just some of the crazy things that they did, especially like Dan Kilgore, who worked with Todd directly, it's just so cool, to see.
Sarah, who's actually filming our podcast, you were a student when he was here, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild. Full circle.
It's just so awesome. I left last night. We had students last night, and I just left smiling of just, it's just so cool to see the building up of the kingdom and the continual work of the gospel. It's just cool.
So you're an intern after college, and eventually that turns into a full-time job at one of the churches you're at? There's a couple-year gap there, I know.
Yeah, so was at the Colonial Woods Missionary Church, and then jumped to a actual position at a place called Centerpoint Christian Church down in Cincinnati, Ohio. Love that church, fantastic. Spent a good probably just shy of 2 years there, and just really got plugged in and had a lot of fun with them.
And met a young lady there?
Yes, met a young lady, Carrie, my girlfriend. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
Love my life. So she's pretty awesome.
Cool.
Loves pink. She loves the shirt. So
yeah, well, hey, that's a keeper right there.
I know, right?
You found the one. Congratulations.
I needed it. I needed somebody who loved pink, because that's 90% of my wardrobe apparently.
So I don't want to make you we don't have to talk about things that, I don't been comfortable putting in the spot, but at the 2-year point, I know in that church, that's kind of when some really difficult things happen. I mean, in that, not only, I know you mentioned it, losing your brother, but that kind of led to a season of maybe taking some time off ministry and focusing on family. And like, you don't have to go super deep, but just so people kind of know maybe like what the last year or two have kind of been for you and where you're at now with it. Yeah,
for sure. So I lost my brother June 1st, 2024. So that was just a nightmare scenario. He was
22. 21.
No, he was 19.
19. Okay.
Yeah, so he's 19.
Wow, I'm sorry.
And so when that happened, I mean, just grief wrecks you, right? And so I spent the church that I was at, Centerpoint, they were very gracious. They almost gave me an entire month to just go and be with family, which was a huge blessing from them. I'm very thankful and blessed about that. And then over the course of about 6 months, it just felt like the Lord was calling me to be home, to be with my family. And so in the midst of that and just trying to really see where the Lord was really asking me. And honestly, I'm a person who loves to put the gas pedal down full throttle. And I felt the Lord saying, let's take a break. Let's pause, and because you need to be filled before you can go back into ministry. And so I stepped out for about a year and worked at a place called Hoosier Crane Service Company. They are awesome. It's actually where my brother worked, and worked with their training department with Aaron and Rick. They are awesome individuals. Honestly, the whole family, the whole Hoosier Crane family, we were very close with the CEO and his family. My brothers played every sport you can imagine with their sons, and so we've just always been around them. Todd Cook and Gretchen Cook. I mean, all of the Hoosier Crane family is just amazing there. So they were super gracious to me and just allowing me to come in and maybe instead of going straight into the shop and cutting parts, welding, things like that, into more of a training position. So,
but then there came a moment. I don't want to put words in your mouth. You can talk, but my understanding of our conversations, maybe somewhere in this summer, later this part of summer, is when you started feeling like maybe God was telling you it's time to get back into full-time ministry. And that led to, how did that moment lead to Woodland Church?
Absolutely. So really it was for the whole year, I was hitting my head up against the wall of the Lord saying rest. That was every time I pray, ask anything from the Lord, it was rest. That was the only word I heard, or the impression I felt was just rest. And I was like, all right, Lord, well, what about this opportunity? Rest. I was like, all right, well, they're asking me to go speak here, and that'd be really cool. Rest, just take time. And so really it was me trying to say, Lord, like, I'm ready to go. And he's saying, no, you're not, listen to me. And so through me humbling myself and saying, you know what, maybe I don't know what's best for me right now. And finally taking a few months, and right as I started just having more conversations, and more people out of the blue just started reaching out saying, hey, I think it's time for you to come back. I was like, well, the Lord's been telling me no, so I'm going to wait. And so finally I was praying to the Lord. I said, Lord, there's been like 5-10 people, even Carrie, my girlfriend, she's been like, I believe it was like 3 weeks, almost every day of, hey, I think it's time. I think it's time for you to go. And I was like, well, I haven't heard from the Lord. And so I'm finally praying to the Lord. I'm like, Lord, is this time? Is it time? And I just felt him say, go. Let's go. I was like, finally. Like, I've been missing it so much, seeing students and just the whole world of ministry. I've just missed it. And I'd still go to church and, interact with students. And I helped actually coached track and field for my middle school that I went to, and so that was really cool, but it was time to go. And so I opened up just a website that I've used before, Church Staffing, and Woodland was one of the first ones that I actually clicked on. And so jumping in, and immediately got a response, and then had a conversation with Kurt and you, and it just, the more that we talked, the more it just felt like this is where the Lord was leading.
Cool. So and now Carrie's still in Ohio.
Yep, she's in Cincinnati.
Which, if I don't quite see the map in my head well, but are we farther away from her now than when you were in Indiana, or is it about the same? Like, how much of a long distance relationship is this right now?
So that's the weird thing, is distance we're further, but travel time we're shorter.
Because it's like freeways or something?
Exactly. So you spend, I believe, like 90% of it on 75.
Okay.
From Battle Creek to here. But from Elkhart, Indiana, it's about 4.5 hours. Now it's just 4 hours, which is really nice.
Okay.
So
long distance relationships are hard. Do you have any question you might want to ask Carrie right now on the podcast? Sarah, I do not appreciate it.
Sarah's like, leave that poor girl alone.
Oh, podcasts. No, that's great, man. Well, we're grateful to have you here.
Yeah.
You're in your second full week now.
Yeah.
Just hitting the ground running, which is cool. We've seen,
Yes.
and just like you mentioned, I've spent part of last week, if you remember, like my message was really like honoring the past versus the future.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time just looking at past things and learning about the past and
weird trees,
weird
tree
trees
people.
Seeing. I gotta be careful with things. Sometimes my humor gets me in trouble because I see things that I think are funny and I make comments just because it's funny, and then I'm realizing like, oh, that I don't want people to feel like I'm making fun of it. It's just things are different and unique to me. Just also though, seeing and hearing about the legacy and history of Woodland's ability to reach students and be a place that students thriving youth ministry. And so we're really excited to have you here, excited to see what God's going to do. Maybe like just depending on who listens to this podcast, we want it to be something that has a broad reach and not just like, well, if you don't have a student, this podcast doesn't mean anything to you. But I do want to spend a moment like, maybe for parents who are listening, I doubt any students are listening to me, but whatever. If you are, hey, congratulations,
maybe,
good job.
Who knows?
Or just in general, people listening to part of our church. For you, like, how would you describe or talk about your vision for youth ministry and what you hope to see happen?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for students, I think right now, and you talked about this Sunday, which I know we'll probably talk about a little bit later, but they are in a time where it's unprecedented, right? They have so much access to information and things like that. And so providing a place of hope, of stability, of strength, of what does the gospel look like in their lives, and also to have somebody who cares about them. We have some amazing student leaders here, and they've had youth passion in the past that have just done an amazing job of really caring and loving those students. And I would love, and I'm honestly excited to jump into that and be a part of that legacy of what can we do to where students feel that, one, they belong, two, that they can find out what their purpose is, and three, that they can find their identity in Christ. So that's the big three, right? For me, whenever I think about student ministry, the three that we will always be talking about is identity, purpose, and belonging. And so for me, my vision is getting students into a place where, one, they can have fun, two, they can find community, find people that they can really connect with, whether that be their grade, whether that be older students, or even leaders. And then three, finding a safe place, a safe that turns into a brave space. And what I mean by that is that, like we have to be safe if we want to share, but there also needs to be a challenge of, let's be brave, right? Let's share what's something that's pressing on you. Or like no one likes confession, right? No one likes confessing sins or feeling that they need to confess sins. But
well, that takes off my next question for you. Dang it! All right.
But it's what can we do to where we can also encourage them to be brave and empower them to be leaders in the community, right? Whether you're introvert, extrovert, you can reach people for the gospel.
Yeah.
So
one thing I want to say, like, I'm listening to you, and I've been around the block a few times, so I would say, like, I want to clarify, not to like fix what you just said, but to clarify something. It'd be very easy if I took what you just said and like went into like our audio program and spliced it out and pulled it out as a soundbite,
right?
To be like, oh, he didn't say anything about Jesus, you know what I mean? And I think
for sure,
it's important to clarify. And I'll just do it myself. When I was as a lead pastor here, really thinking and praying about what I wanted to see out of our youth ministry. I know this can sound wrong if you don't say it. Like, Jesus is the given.
Yes. Yeah.
There's nobody I'm going to hire. There's nobody our elders are going to approve of, or is going to set up our staff that isn't coming here to help students find and build their lives around Jesus.
Yes, absolutely.
When I say mission and vision, I'm meaning more saying, like, how specifically are you going to lead people into the thing that is the given?
Absolutely.
And so I want to clarify for listeners, like you weren't saying all you care about are safe spaces. It's like, no, the way that we're going to help this generation experience Jesus is through belonging, through understanding their identity in Christ.
Yes.
So I just want to clarify that, because I know how sometimes I ask you a question, you know what I'm saying, and we're talking to each other about.
No,
like,
absolutely.
So, we unashamedly and completely believe it all starts and ends with Jesus.
Well, absolutely. And for me, something that I'm hugely I advocate for when it comes to our walks with Jesus is that we accept the invitation, right? Yeah. God has come more than halfway to meet us, right? The hand is right there. All we have to do is grab it and go. And so for me, how do we get those students to get to a place where they can really grab and go, right? So where we're talking about the gospel, we're talking about different stories in the Bible, but then also meeting them where they are, right? Because that's what Jesus did, right? That's what God did. He literally sent his son down in human flesh to meet us at the perfect time in history to where the gospel could explode. And I think for me, something that, in high school, because I was a Christian, but I also struggled with like atheistic beliefs and ideas of struggling with the idea, well, if God doesn't exist, then there's no purpose, right? And but if he does, that means everything is important, everything is valuable. And so getting those students not only to wrestle with their questions, but also to get to a point where, whether it be intellectually, whatever, they have nowhere to go until it's just their pride. Because often I find when it comes to conversations I've had with people, and honestly my story of, I knew all the answers, I had all the answers, and it wasn't until I finally bent my knee and I said, no, he's real. And it's myself holding myself back. And that's where I want to get students to where they have as much information, as much resources, as have conversations and have people who are Jesus with flesh on, right? As some people like to say, and to where it's literally, it's me. I'm the one holding myself back from this. And so how we can meet them and have conversations with them to get them to that place. That's what I'm focused on. And I appreciate the no. Yeah. Sometimes I forget we're pastors. It's a given. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I feel like now in our multiple interactions, it's almost like an old question, but every person watching is wondering what's with the shirt. Do you want to just go ahead and answer the question?
Yes, absolutely.
Because it's not accidental and it's good to talk about it.
Oh, absolutely. It is 100% intentional and on purpose. So when I got to Centerpoint, something that I realized, well, actually it was before that, it was when I was at Colonial Woods, I realized that students often have a hard time of spotting you when you go to their games, because, depending on where it is, I mean, we're in Michigan, so, everybody's wearing hoodies or, it's cold out, and all the hoodies and all the coats almost look the exact same. And so for me, is that I want to be very bright and so that they can find me easily. And so when I went to Cincinnati, I started wearing this shirt to every event. Everywhere I went, I had this shirt on. And
that shirt or multiples that look like that shirt?
So,
do you literally have one that you just hopefully wash every night, or do you have multiple of the same one?
So actually, I gave away my original one and to a student named Kyron. He got it, and I really wanted to carry that with me. And so I was like, I can find another one online. It's fluorescent pink shirt. I'm sure I can find another one.
There's gotta be tons of lemon shirts out there on pink. Yeah,
they're gone. They're out of production completely. And so Carrie, my amazing girlfriend, just searched online and found a website that there was 5 left on all of the internet. And so I have 2 of these, and then I have one that's black and blue, black and then a blue one. And the main thing is just making sure that students know that there's someone there for them. When it comes to events, when it comes to, it also just helps in student ministry. If a leader's looking for me, it's pretty easy to find me, bright pink shirt. But the main thing, and something that is really important to me, is that going to student games, and if they don't know you're there, there's no impact there, right? You can go to a game and be like, yeah, I was there, and they're like, okay, that's cool. But until they see you there, I feel like there's finally that connection point of they're here. Yeah. They're here for me. And even whether they're one of my favorite moments in student ministry, I went to this girls' game, volleyball player. She sat the bench the whole time. The first 3 games I went to, she sat the bench. And so she came up to me crying, and she was like, I just can't, you came to see me play, and I can't believe it. And I was like, pause. I'm here to support you. Whether that's you're playing, whether that's you're sitting on the bench, doing good, doing bad, I'm here for you. Whatever that looks like, that's why I'm here. And so then she kind of stopped crying a little bit, and then she goes, okay, that makes sense. And just being able to instill in them that there's someone that cares for them. There's someone that's fighting for them and on their side. That, to be Jesus with skin. I mean, that's what Jesus does for us, right? Yeah. He fights for us and meets us where we are. And I mean, and honestly, the shirt is crazy. And I know I get so many comments on it on a Sunday morning. I got stopped maybe 10 times this Sunday, of like, man, that's a cool shirt. Man, that's a crazy shirt. Do you have any more shirts than that? Or, but
do you change?
Right. Like, do you just wear that clothes? But honestly, I'd rather be a fool for Christ than a fool for the world. And so if that means I'm going to wear a funny shirt, I'll wear a funny shirt.
Yeah. So kind of bringing some of that around, like you mentioned, the message this Sunday, and we always say on this podcast, ideally you're listening to it because you also listen to the service. You don't have to have, but we're not going to like go into a huge recapping every podcast.
Yeah.
But the big idea was the concept that given how the world is right now, Christians have an open door to a generation that's looking for something. And that's not my opinion. That's, I mean, every study or data point is showing it's true right now.
Yeah.
And so even starting where we just talked a moment ago about as a lead pastor, what is my ultimate vision for the church, but also what I want to see in the youth ministry.
Yeah.
When you and I first talked, our first Zoom call, I already had in my head what I felt we needed.
Yeah.
And I think it's important sometimes, and I didn't get into this a lot from the stage yesterday because I had a very limited amount of time. I always do. But this last Sunday built on the week before in a way that I didn't address, but it did build on it. Because the week before was, honoring the past, embracing something different. When I said the things I said about how we're going to reach this generation by being pillars, stability, personal, less flash, I wasn't necessarily saying all of that stuff is bad.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
In some ways, I would say one of the biggest shifts that you can look at from a very high perspective, like not individually, broad brush strokes, in the 80s, 90s, especially, and then into the 2000s, what Christians often had to do in America was convince people who were okay that they weren't okay.
Yeah.
Like your parents and even like my generation, being raised where there's mostly peace. 9/11 messed it up a little bit, but mostly peace. No major, no one was attacking us necessarily. The economy was up and to the right for like pretty much minus a couple years, almost 22 decades. And so there was this sense that we're okay. Interest rates are low, or homeowners, and everything's pretty much fine. So you had to get people's attention. You had to, hey, you don't think you need this. Interestingly enough, the last church we're in the series for this Sunday, Laodicea, is more that message of like, you think you're rich, but you're not.
Yeah.
Which is almost like America 15 years ago.
Yeah.
What I was getting at this week, though, was it's shifted a lot. A common joke among millennials and now Gen Zs is we can't afford houses. We aren't going to have as much money as our parents. The world is a much scarier, less stable place. The future doesn't look as bright as it might have used to. And so the message to Laodicea was like, really, I know like people in their when I was in my 30s or 20s, like that was, hey, like you're not as good as you think you are.
Yeah.
But the message to Philadelphia, like, hey, I know there's earthquakes. Here's something safe.
Right.
So for us, for me as a leader and us as a church, there was a time, and even some of the guys that you mentioned that were some of your mentors, maybe even some of the guys that did youth ministry here at Woodland Church 20 years ago, the approach to student ministry could have been more like, hey, these kids think they're okay. We got to show them that there's something else. Let's get their attention. Let's do things. Let's figure out ways to make them come to church because they don't want to.
Right.
Now it's like people are just showing up. Like, I got nothing else. I want to come to church. And they're looking not for, how great's your band or how cool is your program. They're looking for something real and tangible.
Yes.
And they want to be seen. They want to be known. And so when I asked you about your vision, your mission, like how do you see youth ministry, I think that is like directly tied to where it seems like this generation is and what it needs. But you're in the middle of it because you're 25. You're 25.
25.
So you are Gen Z. That's you.
Yep, that's me.
you're probably, let's see, so 17, you were probably 8 when the iPhone came out.
Yeah,
8 or
roughly.
9. Your whole high school years, everything
had a phone, and
freshman year in COVID, probably right in there, college.
Yeah, about halfway through the freshman year.
Yeah. So you lived this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about how you see it from your perspective. And I gave a lot of stats. Obviously, every stat that says 50% means 50% don't.
Right, yeah.
But still, you live in it. You experience it. These are your friends. These are the people you do life with. Talk to me about how my message landed with you, how you processed it from a Gen Z perspective, hearing what I said yesterday.
Well, I've heard, so there's a book you quoted, The Anxious Generation. I've heard so many people talk about it because it's an amazing book, right? And we're looking at the data. And essentially the consensus of the book is that the internet, or at least access to all this knowledge on the internet, is just terrible for young people, right? And
the other side, there was 2 things. I didn't get to the other thing. His 2 main points were, it is the unfettered access, and a hyper safety mindset among parents, who are so terrified of their kids being hurt. They're overprotecting their kids, and their kids aren't having real world experiences. Like those 2 things together. I didn't get into that second one because it wasn't as relevant to the message, but sorry, go on.
So I grew up in, honestly, like my family, I was the first of my family, or at least of my brothers, to have a phone. I got my first phone at 14. And so for me, I didn't really dive too deep into it. I thought it was silly. Everybody was posting pictures, and I did a fair bit. If you scroll back far enough on my Instagram, there are some 13-year-old Eli pictures all the way back when.
Duck lips?
No duck lips, just like the weirdest, like just the weirdest faces. But the biggest thing that I began to notice and to see is that, as you mentioned on Sunday, is that social interaction started to just dissolve. It was mainly over text, luckily I still had some friends that we wanted to do FaceTime, so I FaceTime friends all the time and talk with them. But really, it was through the addition of social media, the addition of the internet, to where now you have to know everything, and there's almost this anxiety if you don't know something. And it's, you sit in a movie, who's that actor? Everybody jumps on their phone to see who can figure it out, because there's this pressure that we always have to know everything all the time, right? And so I think that, paired with, honestly, just the highlight reel that social media is, right? So when you look at social media, you're comparing your life. So you could be sitting lonely in your room somewhere as a teenager, that I did, and I look at some of my friends, and they're on boats, they're at their parents' beach house, all these crazy things, and here I am sitting at my house, in a dark room. And so you start feeling worse about yourself because you're comparing to your lived experience compared to their highlight reel. Yeah. And so the biggest thing, I think, is that it just begins to build on the comparison culture that just happens when you're, honestly, throughout your entire life. If we love to compare to each other, right? To compare our lives, compare what we have. And I see it more and more with students of, well, I don't have what they have. Well, I knew a ton of friends who they couldn't really afford to have name brand things, but their parents did the best they could so that their kids could have name brand things, just to have the perceived look. And so now you can do that on Instagram without needing to buy name brand things, without, like you were talking about Sunday, just Photoshop and an Instagram account, right? AI,
make me wearing something nicer.
Yes. And I think this is where the beautiful part is for the gospel and the kingdom to come in. Right. So we have this comparison culture. We have all these different things, and it's now becoming this critical environment to where, and then not only with the deep fake, the stuff like that, of now we don't know what's true, on certain parts of social media, that what is true? The question of truth is starting to come back into the question. So like we
are postmodern now.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love it. Well, one of my favorite authors, podcasters, Sean McDowell, he talks about this a lot, and Frank Turek, is they'll go and talk with students and things, and the students are like, well, what's so important about truth? And he's like, well, do you want a truthful answer to that question? And they kind of look at him funny. He's like, well, obviously. And he's like, well, there, you now understand why you need truth. Because if there is no truth, there's nothing you can hold up to. There's nothing you can lean on. There's no stability in your life. And so this is where I believe, and especially for me growing up and in Christian college, all these different things, of where the gospel really lifted me up to where I could go and have conversations with people who I never would have thought I would ever have conversations with certain people on. And not only that, but also give me assurance that there is something to hope for. There is something to live for. There is something where we can have purpose. And I feel like when it comes to social media, when it comes to things like that, it's lack of that. And honestly, it's a vacuum of it, of you're trying to find your purpose, but your moment of purpose comes from either people's likes and follows, or honestly, it lasts only for a little bit because now I need to work on the next one. It's always more. And when you go to Jesus, you're satisfied. And that daily seeking, the daily bread, the searching and finding. But
yeah, it's an interesting world. A couple of years ago, I had decided, it's a long story, but I just felt like I felt this strong urge in my heart to write a book.
Yeah.
And I remember I was finishing up my degree, and the guy that I was doing my doctorate under is actually a pretty famous Christian author. Oh. And we were having a conversation, and I remember he said to me, he wasn't being cynical as much, a little cynical, but he wasn't being snarky. He was sort of being realistic. He just said, Pete, he's like, depending on why you're doing this, like, if you want to be an author, like, you need to go build a platform before you write a book. Yeah. And when he said it, it made me sad because I was like, oh, he's right. Like, and I was like, oh, so do I, and I actually started this process of, okay, look, I could start a podcast. I should probably have like a social media account. And I started like posting things, and it was like, so I need to make reels, and cause I was like finishing the book and I wanted to write it and release it. And the whole time I was doing it, I was actually finding that it was like uncomfortable for me because I'm not wired that way. I never got engaged in it at all. I never had a YouTube channel before. But I started actually, like, I don't want to say it was working. I don't know what working means, but I got to a point where, I was doing this podcast on audio and video, and I'd have 400 or 500 watches or views or whatever. And like starting to get like, and it was like, I loathed it. I just loathed it. I hated it so much. And then I released my book, and I remember the guy that helped me with publishing and stuff, and he was like, just to know, like, generally speaking, we do this is what we do. Your sales are going to be a reflection of your platform, right? Yeah. Like, so we can look at how many followers you have, how many views, how many downloads, and we can tell you're going to sell this number of books. And it was like spot on, like spot on, minus how many I sold to my own church. Yeah, it was spot on. And when kind of the dust settled, I remember thinking to myself, I was so glad that I did it. Yeah. I was so glad that and like, number one, I didn't like lose any money. I covered all my expenses. Yeah, that's nice. We didn't make any money. I wasn't trying to make money, but I was so glad that I did it because it just like solidified in my heart that I don't want anything to do with that world. And it's just all fake and stupid. Because really, like, the idea was, at the end of the day, and this sounds a little bit sour grapes, it's not, it's just truth. It didn't matter if my book was any good or not. It really didn't matter if I had built something good, because what sells is the fake flash behind the other stuff. Yeah. That doesn't mean anything. The superficial things were all that really mattered. Right. And I just remember thinking to myself, I don't want to live in that world. Yeah, no. I don't want to be there. I'd rather just go do something else. And shortly after that, shortly in the span of my life, but maybe within a year, I ended up here doing this. And I look back on it now, and I feel like it was such an important process for me to, I don't want to say get out of my system, just to know in my heart that offers me nothing. Yeah. And to just be here, and just like, I'm in Battle Creek, Michigan, and this is where God's put me, and it's where home, and the people who call Battle Creek, Michigan home, or Marshall, or this area, Calhoun County, are the people He's called me to reach. And I don't need to do more than that. I don't need to be like,
Right.
well, if I could just get more, it's like, no, there's need here and that's enough. And to take contentment in just being steady and present here. And I say all that because I just really believe that for you to be in the position now of influencing students, like they're going to see that in you.
Yeah.
And it's going to be impactful. And had we hired somebody who I could tell, this is the next step until I can release my book and get an agent.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want it. I don't want us to be that. I'm not looking for it. And so I'm grateful that you said yes. I'm grateful that you're here.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. Just a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
Favorite movie and why?
Oh, that's hard. I can't do favorites, but I'll pick one. Fellowship of the Ring. So the first one out of the three.
The first one, yeah.
The first one. So a lot of people love Return of the King, the last one, because the big fight scenes.
It's rushed.
The culmination. It is.
Yeah.
My favorite though is the culmination of Aragorn's just character development in the first movie makes him the proper king for the rest.
Yeah.
So, and what I mean by that is the entire first beginning of the movie, he's struggling, wrestling with that he's essentially the last king, right? And so he's running from it. He doesn't want to be like those who have failed in the past. And meanwhile, everybody's like, no, like this is you, like you're supposed to be it. And then there's this moment, and it always gives me chills, bringing some tears to my eyes and it seems so simple, so stupid, but at the very end, he sends Frodo off with the ring to go off and go meet Sam. And as Aragorn, because Frodo offers him the ring and he rejects it, gives it back to Frodo, because that was the whole big thing that he was worried about, that I'm going to take the ring the moment I get it. And he turns around, and as he's going to fight the Uruk-hai, he lifts his sword up in front of his face. Now, in that, it's a nerdy moment, because I'm a nerd, where you're like, I know it's super nerdy.
I'm just letting it go.
Symbolism is my favorite.
Do you speak Elvish? Have you
no.
studied Elvish?
I've thought about it,
Do you have
not
a
gonna lie.
tattoo somewhere in your body?
I'm working on it. I'm working on a design.
Okay, here's the deal. If you propose in Elvish, Woodland Church will help buy you a ring.
Deal. We can arrange that.
$1 towards it. Anyway,
But the final point of it is that him raising his sword in front of his face, because throughout the movie you see these old statues of the earthen kings, the kings of men, and they all are posed with the sword in front of their face, and it's him symbolizing that he has finally accepted that he's the right king. Wow. And it just
I thought you were going to say like Spider-Man, and we move on.
That's second. That's second.
That's a very deep answer.
Yeah, and then the next one is like so shallow. It's 2 and 3 are these Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies.
You like them?
I love those movies.
Okay.
Because I feel like he's the only one that's really quippy. Like he's really just sarcastic and kind of funny.
Has the humor.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. All right.
Tom Holland's great. Don't get me wrong. I love his movies, but just there's something about the Andrew Garfield movies.
But no love for Tobey Maguire.
No,
you were
not
too young.
Really. Well, I grew up on those movies, and
well, you'd have been like 4, right?
Well, yeah, 4. But the biggest thing was I just felt like he looked too old to me. Just growing up, I was like, he just seemed like he was in his 30s in high school, and that just didn't work for me.
All right. Favorite music?
Oh, I love country. Love country. I know that's not like the pastor answer. You know, I could have said Brandon Lake, but no, country. I love country music. So especially Garth Brooks, like oldies, love oldies, Reba, Garth Brooks, Alan Jackson, Brooks and Dunn. But then you got to throw in, Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, Megan Maroney.
Right now, I feel a pressure to try to figure out a question to ask you to make you look like less of a nerd. Can I ask him something that will make him...
Country's not nerdy.
Garth Brooks and Reba McEntire.
Okay.
You're 25 years old. All right. Let's see. Let me get one.
What's my favorite subject in school? Math, specifically geometry.
Ancient Cyrillic languages. What do you do for fun? I don't know. What do you do for fun? Other than I can't say for fun because you throw frisbees. My goodness.
I love pickleball. Pickleball's a blast.
That's
pickleball's fun. Video games, like the Spider-Man video games, they're fantastic.
Lord of the Rings.
They're coming out with a new one.
I suppose so.
But yeah, Spider-Man. Yeah.
Cool.
Just kind of hanging out with buddies.
Well, dude, I'm just, I'm kidding with you.
I know.
I think authenticity is the coolest thing there is. I try to tell my kids that. They don't believe me, but they will one day.
No, that's all I am. I'm me, no matter who's around. It's just Eli or Levi, depending on who you're asking.
We'll go with Levi. All right. Well, this has been good, man. Thank you for joining the podcast. We'll have you on again.
Yeah.
We've got, the goal is to have a chance for all of our staff to get on and then keep kind of talking through sermons and different things we talk about on stage. So I'll be time for that. Next Sunday, you're actually going to be on the stage for the first time, kind of doing the welcome and greeting and stuff and meeting the people here at Battle Creek. The Sunday after that, we're recording this. I don't even know what day it is, but the Sunday after that's Thanksgiving weekend, I think. Then the people at Marshall get to meet you that Sunday.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
So get a chance, if you're listening, you haven't met him yet, the next 2 weeks, you'll see his face on the stage at both locations. Yeah, man. And then you can also find him anytime Tuesdays and Thursdays at my house washing my car. So between 4 and 5:30 p.m. That was part of your
pressing some of his books.
Contingent on your hiring. All right, man. This has been good. Hey, guys, thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you next. Next podcast, we've got a special interview with some people from Children's Hope Chest, which is part of our Christmas offering initiative. So make sure you check that out next week. Learn a lot, and you're going to learn more about them on Sunday as well. So make sure you're part of that. And until then, we'll see you on the Inwoods podcast. See you guys.
Yeah. See ya.